Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live reading with me, Richard Vobes. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm actually a couple of minutes early, but there we are. That's all good. Let me just get rid of my keyboard, which I do not need at the moment. Is that off or is that on? Yeah, that's off. It's very nice to see you on this very wet and dreary and quite blowy day today here down in Worthing in Sussex, where I live. I hope it's a little brighter and warmer where you are. Make sure you've got yourself a nice Mary Hammond jumper on and you'll be all right. Hello to everybody who's come along. I see the chat room is all full of beans, which is rather good. Hello to the lovely Julia, to Turbo Stream, to Andrew Norris. What ho, he says it's really cold here. Blimey. That's in Croatia. Nice to see Laura Noel and Billabong O'Neill and Nigel Sadler just driving home from the dentist. Oh dear, won't be able to follow. I don't follow too much at the moment. Poor old Nigel. Justine Jones, nice to see you. Steve G, good to see you too. Philip Hammond and Mary, which is marvellous. I've got your teal jumper on today, which is superb, I have to say. Dave of Yore, afternoon all. Audrey Forbes, hello Audrey, thank you for your email today, by the way. The Green Man, Lee Lawson, who I was speaking to on the phone just a few moments ago. Michael White, the Allotment Channel with Sean James Cameron. What a nice Victoria Jam sponge. Oh, you spoil yourself. Send some down. And Linda Kane, hello to you. And Michael White, where it is where all the cool people hang out. It is where all the cool people hang out. Now, I've got some news I need to tell you before we get cracking on today's show. Tomorrow, this will be somewhat slightly different. The same, but different. I am moving the live reading channels, the live reading shows, to a new YouTube channel. I was chatting to Sean James Cameron today, who has some insider information about YouTube, and it transpires that it's probably be more advantageous to have all these live readings on a separate channel from the normal Richard Vobes Bald Explorer channel. It's too complicated to go in for the moment for the reasons why all that, but it will be more beneficial to both channels. Thank you. Dong. So that's what will be happening. So I have a channel. It used to be called Book Snippets, but it's changed its name to Listen with Vobes. So I will put a link in the description, and there will be a message that will go out tomorrow. I just need to record it, and it'll go out to tell everybody else. But I will put the link in the description under this video at the end. I can't do it at the moment because we're on. But so from tomorrow, and I did try to do it today. I was going to try and set it up today, but apparently in order to go live, you've got to give them 24 hours notice, so that there's a little man on a pedal machine somewhere making sure that it's all going to be working for tomorrow. So that will be happening. Yes, its own spangly new. So you will need to subscribe and press the notification, all that rubbish, so that you get notified. So we'll see what happens. It may, disturb a bit. But in the meantime, the plan is also then to put, or at least link to, all the previous book readings on that channel. Well, at least from this book. I don't know if I can do all of the others. It's probably too much like hard work. Anyway, that said, I'll remind you, if I remember at the end, to remind you to have a look. But it'll be called Listen with Vobes. And if you can't find Listen with Vobes, then look for Book Snippets, because that was the previous name that it's listed under. It might take a while for Google and everything else to find it. We are on Chapter 6 on our Victorian little book reading session. So that would be good. I love that word spangles, says Lee Lawson. Yeah, well, they were sweets, weren't they, as I remember? Better to be notified than mortified, says Dave of Yore. Yes, be notified than mortified that you've missed it. That would be terrible. Chapter 6. Here we go. Again, the weather smiled on us as we left Tunbridge Wells, bound for East Grinstead one sunny morning, with a fine weather, cloud-dappled sky overhead. Oh, I wish we had that today. I had to dash into the van, I beg your pardon, it's a van, not a car, still get confused, to shelter from the rain when I was filming. The barometer was on the rise, so we had no fear or thought of rain. Indeed, our experience has ever been that it is dust rather than rain which the driving tourist has to dread in English travel. I guess because they're in the open, aren't they? A drier climate would not be nearly so desirable, nor so delightful for such an expedition. I once tried, in my younger, more venturesome days, a riding tour in far-off California, where the scenery is so grand and the climate so rainlessly perfect during the summertime, but a few days' experience of the rough, dusty roads or tracks convinced me that in spite of all that has been sung and said, ideally in praise of perpetual sunshine, a long spell of dry weather makes touring by road anything but a delight. At the end of our first day's ride in California of about 30 miles, we arrived at the rough ranch hotel smothered in dust, which impregnated all our garments and permeated to the skin. Externally, we were as white, or as grey, as millers. Moreover, to add to our pleasure, we hardly dared to picnic by the wild forest or mountainside for fear of rattlesnakes, tarantula spiders, whose bite is dangerous, and other undesirable creatures, to say nothing of the misery of the mosquitoes. This, by the way, as so much is disclaimed nowadays to the disadvantage of the English climate with its this, by the way, as so much is disclaimed nowadays to the disadvantage of the English climate with its various samples of weather. However, I like variety of weather as well as scenery. I do not object to set out on a rainy morning, provided it is not a steady downpour type, with no apparent hope of change. That, I grant without reserve, is depressing to the degree. Oh, I see how he's... sorry, I read that slightly with the stress in the wrong place. I do not object to set out on a rainy morning, provided it's not of a steady downpour type with no apparent hope of change. That, I grant, without reserve, is depressing to a degree, of course. But we have found such unpromising days to be few and far between when on the road, and after rain, how fresh and sweet the country air, and how full of colour the landscape. It's quite true, really. We don't really get that many days. When you look at these old American films, and they show this downpour as almost standing in a shower at full pelt, it is rare that you get that. We just get those grey, sort of drizzly days, quite a lot of those, especially this time of year. And I was ducking the raindrops, and it's annoying because on video you can't see the rain unless it's really pouring hard, and you may complain of the rain, but people don't see it, and so they think, well, I don't see it, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. Out of Tunbridge Wells, we had a very long level road at first, with glorious views to the left over a vast expanse of wooded country, stretching far away to a dreamy distance of blue faint hills. After a time, our level road came to an end, and was succeeded by a long and steep descent that required careful negotiating. I wonder which way they're going. Because we established that they were on the A26, what we call the A26 now, but back then, as he said, sandy roads. I wonder which way they're going. Just checking to see if there's anything interesting. Peter Coombs says he's already subscribed. Oh, have you been? People have already gone looking for the link. Does it say, when you found it, Peter Coombs, did you see it? Was it listed as Listen with Vobes, or was it the old one? Oh, Days of Yore says, I must listen to Captain Mucklebunt. Yes, that was a book that I was writing, and I got probably a third of the way through it, and I did make more recordings of it. I'll have to upload them. Let me know what you think. It's a little bit... it was like the first draft I was reading out. It was a sort of fantasy nonsense thing, but I do need to finish these books. Yes, I've read all that. Out of Tunbridge Wells, blah, 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 blah. At the foot of the hill, we came upon a peaceful old world village of Groombridge. Okay, we know where he's going. Gathered irregularly round a rough triangular tree. Great was the contrast from frequented fashionable Tunbridge Wells to this sleepy spot, primitive and picturesque, with a hush of centuries upon it. We seemed to have driven out of one age into another, to have turned the hand of time back several generations. Groombridge is very nice, actually. It's worth just having a quick look on Google Earth at Groombridge whilst we're in this mood. People tell me that they enjoy the interruptions and the little the little, gallivanting groom. Oh, I want to look at... Oh, well, you can get in this way, I suppose. Groombridge. Groombridge. Let's share this with you. Groombridge here. Let's get a shot of that. Groombridge. So he's come from Tunbridge Wells. Let's see where Tunbridge Wells is. Now, see, this is a strange old thing. We've got this meandering. He's come from Crowborough, and he's clearly gone up the A26 here. Went past Eridge, didn't he? Where I thought the Toad was, but the Toad is not there. It's in the other place, Rushhall. And he's gone into Tunbridge Wells and he's stayed there, but he's clearly come back out. And I wonder, he must have gone through Langton Green, Langton Road, down here, I guess, without seeing the terrain, which I can't see. And he's gone into Groombridge. But that's fascinating. And where's... Let's have a look. There's a roundabout there, Groombridge Place. St. John, I reckon here, this triangle. Is this the Groombridge? There's a nice little pub. What's that called? The Crown. We had mentioned the Crown before, Groombridge. It's all very nice, isn't it? Very swish. But I thought Groombridge was... Here we go. This is more of Groombridge. Where's the... Sorry, I'm just trying to find a bit more of Groombridge Village Hall. Society of Saint... Where's the church? Find the church. Thomas Apostle. Here we go. Nice country. I'm sure I've driven through it, Groombridge. I get confused with that one and another one. But anyway. Oh, that's that thing, yeah. Anyway, let's find out. YouTube channel. Oh, thank you very much. Julia Hartley is able to put the channel on. There we go. We'll Listen with Vobes comes up in the link. Oh, fantastic. Well, tomorrow we'll have our own channel. We'll have to share it with that other bald bloke who goes wandering around places. This ridiculous bloke he is. Yes. At the end of the village, we got down from the dog cart and, walking up an avenue of Scotch firs, came to the old moated home of Groombridge Place, built in the 17th century and occupying a portion of the site of a still older castle, once the property of Sir Richard Waller, a soldier of the renown in the brave days of Henry V. This Sir Richard took Charles, Duke of Orleans, prisoner at the famous Battle of Agincourt on the 25th of October 1415, and kept him there 20 long years in captivity. Shall we see what Groombridge Place looks like? Because he's going to talk about it in a second. Let me just quickly get Groombridge Place up on the screen for you. Groombridge Place. Oh, this looks nice. Let's have a look at the images. Come on, Groombridge Place. Let's have a look at you. Here we go. View that one. Yeah, that's more my house. Welcome to my abode. Isn't that lovely? Look at all those windows. Golly. Yes. See, more windows than I think the Georgians would have had. They would probably have, and they call those lights, don't they? The little individual windows, I believe, is known as lights as opposed to windows. The windows is actually the hole. The hole in the brickwork, I believe, is what's known as the window, and the lights are the little square panes. If I remember that right. TurboStream says, here, that's my gaff. Yes. Illustration coming up, says Linda Kane. Oh, is that true? Hang on a minute, you cheeky woman. Is there an illustration? He must have done. Oh, yes. Illustration coming up. Here we go. I'll give you the illustration as well. Why not? How do we do that? Here we go. We've got the illustration. There we are. Groombridge Place. How does that compare? Oh. No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I pressed the wrong button. How does that compare with... Oh, yes. How does that compare with that? There we go. So I'm too clever for my own half, you see. It's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty good. Like it. Yeah. Which button am I... Where is the camera? There it is. There's too many modern conveniences here. Right. And it's got a little bridge. It's got a little bridge over a little stream or something. Dudley Sawyer says, hello, Dudley. Nice to see you. He says, I know it's not much, but I call it home. You must invite me round for coffee sometime in that little tiny little shack of a place, Groombridge, you have. Groombridge Place is situated in a secluded hollow, and with its weather-stained walls, wide, deep moat... Oh, the bridge goes over the moat then, presumably. With its wide, deep moat of clear running water crossed by an ancient ivy-grown one-arched bridge, which we just saw in the picture, and great gateway beyond, forms a truly charming picture of old-world tranquillity, still further enhanced by its terraced gardens, with their clipped yews, and enlivened by proud peacocks strutting stately about the lawns thereof. He mentioned these proud peacocks, I seem to remember, as about somewhere else, and then he said, oh yeah, no, there's no such... Was that the one at Ifield? The Ifield place? He said, oh, but there isn't any of those. But here there is. I don't know what it is about proud peacocks. Are they proud? Strutting about the place. We once felt impelled to make a sketch of this charming old home, which is reproduced in engraving herewith and gives a better idea of the place than pages of description possibly can. In this respect, the pencil has the advantage on the pen. And I have to say, I mean, his writing might be a bit wordy, but I think his drawings, his sketches here are exemplary, aren't they? They are very, very lovely. And there's the moat. Look, we can see with a bird landing on it. What kind of a bird is that? It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. These are the sort of things I would love to have reproduced in frames. If I had a nice house with straight walls and straight plaster. Oh, it's a duck. There we are. It's a duck coming into land. Beautiful. I would love to have those on my wall. Many years ago now, when taken on my first driving tour, which tour revealed a new and wholly unexpected pleasure to me, it chanced that my companion then knew the then owner of this ancient home, and I shall never forget the intense delight I experienced in coming suddenly upon this romance in building and of being hospitably entertained therein. What a pleasing and startling contrast it afforded to the intensely modern and commonplace builder's house that I was perforce constrained to occupy in smoky London, and that we had left only that very morning. It was midsummer time then, and the day was hot, not to say sultry, and the cool, past-time oak-panelled chamber wherein we were received simply seemed to me ideal. Indeed, the whole place impressed me with its picturesqueness and quaintness, and for a time held me fascinated. It was one of those red-letter days that live long in the memory, and that only come at rare intervals in a lifetime. Groombridge Place is a picture rather than a house for habitation. A past peace seems to hang over the old mansion, like a spell that makes the hurry and bustle of this 19th century appear like a dream. But it is a spot to be seen, and its influence felt rather than written of. There is an old-world charm about this time-toned home, and its mellow, restful surroundings quite incommunicable in words, not even readable either. Only in old England could you find such a spot. It is, yes. I wonder who lives in there. Probably some merchant banker now with more money than sense, which is, often this is the case. But a lovely, lovely place. Is it owned by anybody? Is it the National Trust? Can one go there and have a look round? Or is it closed to the public? Scotch firs. Can you drink them? Says Michael White. There was a lot of Scotch firs. I believe the Forestry Commission had them all planted, and because they're quick growers. But they've since changed their mind, and they're trying to get rid of all these Scotch firs. David Vure says, I wonder if James John Hissey had a hyphenated surname. Maybe it was Hissey Fit. Yes, very good. Like that. Andy Dalgleish says, love the references to the internet images as the tale evolves. Yes, thank you, Andy. So there we go. Are they Doric columns under the front porch? No, I think they're... I don't think they are Doric columns. Hang on. I think they are Ionic. Ionic. Who said that? Who said Doric columns? Ben Reeve. I think they're Ionic ones with the scroll. I believe the scrolls are Ionic. I could be right. I might be wrong. Have another little gander. Because they've got two little scrolls there, and I'm sure if you've got, have you got that book, Rice's Architectural, whatever it's called? I've got it in the other room. And it's brilliant. It's all in watercolour, lovely pictures, brilliant piece, brilliant work. They also do one for churches, architecture. So yeah. Anyway, the water from the moat runs into a large tree-surrounded pond, which supplies a grey old mill at its foot with motive power. Hither we next bent our footsteps and beggared of the miller permission to photograph it. I do wish the photographs were in here as well. That would be fantastic. I imagine Linda Kane's probably got a book with all the photographs in, because she always manages to get one up on the Vobes. This was a fatal mistake. We ought to have photographed it first and asked permission afterwards, for though our request was at once granted, the knowledge of what we were going to do brought out the whole family, who thereupon commenced to pose themselves right in the front of the wheeled mill to be took. This is very tiring. We wanted to photograph the ancient mill, not a family all in a row. But actually, that would make it really interesting. I would like to have seen that photograph of the family all in a row in 1898. That would have been amazing. It's interesting because pictures, I learnt this many years ago, pictures are much more interesting if you've got a person in them. From Tunbridge Wells to Groombridge, we had traversed a corner of Kent, though all the views from our elevated road were looking over a wealth of Sussex hills and woods. On leaving Groombridge, a place that will linger long in our memories, we crossed the border of the two counties and found ourselves once again in the sunny land of Sussex. At least, it is my impression that Sussex is the sunniest portion of England, and that its skies are bluer than those of any other corner of our land, though it is blessed or cursed with an abundant supply of east winds. Still, these do not always grey the atmosphere as elsewhere. Of course, he's absolutely right. We have the best sky. You could take a foot over the border into Kent, and it would be a totally different sky. Rotten, evil sky. But in Sussex, of course, beautiful, absolutely. Of course, if you're going to Hampshire, probably even nicer because I was born in Hampshire and then came to Sussex. Almost every English county seems to have its advantages and drawbacks. But I love Sussex because, away from the fashionable seaside resorts that fringe its coast, not so much fringe anymore, it possesses no large towns with their smoke and untold ugliness. The Sussex country towns are of clean, sweet, homely order. How kind. First came a gradual rise from the low valley in which Groombridge lies. Reaching the top of this ascent, a charming prospect of a fertile and undulating country opened out before us. A spreading land of hill and dale dotted at regular intervals with prosperous-looking farmsteads, some in the picturesque half-timber style. Those black and white gables showed plainly in the sun, peeping above the colony of outbuildings and hayricks and corn stacks, dotted also with many humble cottage homes, whose russet roofs were often drowned in a very sea of foliage, while white winding roads led the eye unknowingly from one beauty spot to another in the scene, roads wandering hither and thither, now lost to view by spreading woods, only to reappear again further away, and then vanishing into the dim distance, into mere thread-like lines, till lost altogether in the uncertain haze of the faint, far-off horizon. Here and there, too, we caught sight of the conical roofs of oast houses, somewhat suggestive, as seen in the distance, of the towers of foreign chateaux that give such a characteristic feature to the fair land of France. Linda Kane says the illustrations are woodcuts drawn by Hissey and engraved by someone called Pearson. Oh, they're woodcuts. Is that woodcuts so that they could print them? I suppose back then, because they hadn't got the ability to reproduce photographs by there's a word for it, and I used to be in printing when I left school. You print by dots, and so the books would have been published, I guess, with a what do you call it? The original typeset printing, like a big Heidelberg. I used to see that going across the road from the printers where I was. There was another printer. We did litho printing, and they did this, whatever it's called. It's gone from my head at the moment. Proper printing with a big platen printer. Platen. What do they call that? Platen roller printer. They are etchings, not woodcuts, says Michael White. Dot metrics. Yes, it's that sort of dot metrics idea that there was that it's a dot. We used to take sorry to divert a bit. When I was in the printers in the early days, you had a photograph, and I'm just trying to remember how we did it. We had a photograph, and you would turn it into a printable photograph by putting this dot screen over it. So what would happen? So this dot screen was sort of a negative of dots, which I know sounds, it's like instead of a positive, like a negative transparency. And you'd place that over the photograph, and then you would photograph that. So what you effectively had was a tone in dots. And then you could cut that out and put that onto the artwork. And when you made the plate, the printing ink would stick to all the dots. And of course, they're very, very tiny. And so you had black and white thing. I forget. But I imagine that in the days of printing here, you couldn't do that. And so you would make an etching or a woodcut or whatever. And so when the roller goes over, it's like the old lino printing or potato printing, same principle, but basically the bit that's protruding, the ink would stick to that. So when it hits the paper, it would give you this, and because it was so intricately done, amazingly intricately done, that you get this wonderful effect. They They look very odd for woodcuts, Linda. It must be the printing process. Dudley Sawyer knows. He knows all about it. Yes. Because he's into all that kind of stuff. I don't know what, don't listen to me. I know nothing. Anyway, where are we? France, yes. The scenery was, however, intensely English in its perfect restfulness, eye-delighting and heart-satisfying it was, with its mellow, home-like beauty, beheld, as we beheld it, under the soft sunshine of that rare summer day. At one spot we pulled up involuntarily, so struck were we by the loveliness of the prospect therefrom. Before and around us were spread out and mingled gentle sloping cornfields and verdant meadowlands, waving woods and sunlit hills, the whole being enlivened by the silvery sparkle and sheen of gliding stream and quiet pool, the waters mirroring bits of the bright blue sky above the green earth below. This peep of rural England was enhanced and rendered interestingly as well as merely beautiful by many mellow-toned homes of man that told of domesticity, I can't say it, you know what I'm trying to say, domesticity, long occupancy and peaceful abiding. There was nothing to spoil the reposeful harmony of the scene. The landscape had a benign aspect. It was lovable. So gently sloped the hills, it seemed, as if God's finger touched but did not press, in making England such an up and down of verdure, nothing too much up and down, a ripple of land, such little hills the sky can stoop so tenderly, and the wheat fields climb, such nooks of valleys lined with orchises. And then an Amazon vehicle ran by. What? The English landscape has a heart. It woos you and wins your affection, whether you will or no, and, having won your affections, will not let them go again. So true, so very true. About 5 miles on our way, at a dip in the road, we stopped a while to sketch a delightfully picturesque farmhouse of half timber with great gables and a finely shaped clustering chimneys. A farmhouse of the olden time, raised when the yeoman farmer was a power in the land. Now, alas, he has almost disappeared, and with him the prototype of John Bull, jovial, prosperous-looking and abiding. Would we ever get him back again? Not likely. Did we get a picture of that sketch? No, we bloody didn't. There is something very pleasant about these old buildings. You really? You don't tell me. If only for the solid substance of them. That's true. That's true. And the absence of any sign or suggestion of stint in material, or any endeavour to make the most of every inch of space. You couldn't say that about the new builds, could you? The builders of old, whether of cottage or mason, were generous to a degree of material, and wanton almost in their bountifulness where space was concerned. And what great high-pitched roofs they gave their houses, supported by mighty rafters with an ample margin for strength, roofs that would throw off snow and rain and last for generations. And their chimneys, how big and strong they were! The Englishman of past times glorified in roof and chimney. He acknowledged rain and storms and the need of fires, unlike the classical architect whoever seemed ashamed of roof or chimney and hid them as far as possible. It is true that the high pitching of these roofs were there to deflect snow and rain, which is often why they are quite steep, I guess. What do we got here? Dot gain. I can't remember what it was called. There was a name for it. Yep, I'm surprised when I read it. They look very odd for preface written by Hissey himself, so guess he's got it right. Dot gain was when the dots got bigger during printing, so the dots were made slightly smaller to compensate. There we go. I forgot Turbos was in the print trade, so he knows more about it than I do. Did I get that right about the photographs? You had to turn them into dots. I can't remember. There was a term, and that doesn't ring a bell. But anyway, yeah, it was fascinating. Did you are right? The scrolls once made. The scrolls make it ionic. Yeah, fantastic. They are. See, sometimes I get it right. I surprise myself when that happens. I really do. Right, where are we? Some old piece of nonsense here. How are we doing on the old time? Good. The look and the strength and solidity of most of old buildings gratifies the beholder, although he may not be able to reason to himself the exact cause of that satisfaction. I think that's true. I mean, in between all his flannel, I think he does give out, underneath all of this fancy frill, he gives out a lot of truths, I think. It certainly speaks to me. There's something underlining all of this that is very honest, even though it is sort of Victorian flannel. The look of the strength and solidity of most old buildings gratifies the beholder, although he may not be able to reason to himself the exact cause of this satisfaction. There is one thing that you cannot do. You cannot build substantially and cheaply. But so too often the modern architect, compelled by circumstances, builds merely prettily and cheaply. You wait till you get to the 21st century. You'll see how they can build. This generation carefully considers the cost of everything. It does not seem even to desire the best. It rather demands a building so that it answers the purpose of the least expenditure. So we have houses built by contract, generally at the lowest tender, that is, when we do not buy them ready-made from a speculative builder. Haste and cheap production are the curse of the century when beauty is the question. Well, that seems to be true for the whole of that century, really, the 20th century. So we find houses. Well, he's talking at the end of the 19th century. It's interesting. So we find houses with thin walls, cheap woodwork, putted and painted over to hide defects, thoughtless planning and bad designs. For who can design well under present conditions? A man must love his work to do this, and everywhere there is but too manifest a pitiful economy of material. Feeling dissatisfied with the result, as well we may be, we cover this cheap structure with what it pleases us to consider ornamentation, that fails to adorn, for all that forgetful of the fact that only honest construction should be ornamented. We build mostly houses, not homes. Home building, alas, is almost a lost art in the land. I am writing of the spirit of the age, the trend of modern conditions, I am writing of the spirit of the age, the trend of modern conditions, not but that there are happily many and notable exceptions to the rule. Leaving the old farmstead that has caused this overlong digression, we arrived quickly afterwards at the humble little hamlet of Withyham, or Withyham, where we found a picturesque and ancient inn by the roadside with notable stone-built stabling attached. The old inn looked as though it had been more important and more prosperous than now. Let's have a look at Withyham. Withyham. Let's just to have a break from all these long words. Withyham. Withyham. Let's have a look. Go. I'm going. And where's our map? Let's have a look on the map as well. See if we can find Withyham. Sorry, I'll share the image. Withyham. Right. Where are we looking for you, Withyham? I'm presuming you're carrying on this way. Oh, Withyham Road. Withyham, here we go. St. Michael and all the what's-its. Where is that exactly then? Towards Hartfield. Oh, okay, so you've gone from Groombridge. So he's gone up here. He's gone to the Travel Lodge. He has. That was where he stayed. Let me just open. You know, we said he was staying at the Wellington, whatever. Oh, why won't you open in another bloody? I don't want you to open in the same place. Open this. Can I open that view image? Anyway, that was where he stayed at the top of Mount Ephraim, in Royal Tunbridge Wells. Yes. Can I get rid of this? Thank you. And he's gone down to Groombridge here, and he's gone down to Witherham here. And let's have a quick gander at Witherham. So he's... Oh, wait a minute. The Dorset Arms. Is that the Dorset Arms? Wait, sorry. He said he came... Oh, I've lost it now. The Dorset Arms. Is this the pub he's talking about? Let's just have a look at that one. Oh, I wonder if it's this, because he did say something interesting about it. I passed that, actually. Now I know where... Now I've seen it. Oh, yes, it's very nice there. The Dorset Arms. What did he say? What did he say? Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. Let's get back to the show. Where we found a picturesque ancient inn by the roadside with a substantial stone-built stabling attached. Oh, that is interesting. Here we go. Hang on. So... This building, let's just come back, bit far. This is obviously where he's talking about. This is the stables, and there's the ancient pub he's talking about. And I'm trying to get a better view. That's now a house. Yeah, I can see that. Then they put in these fake windows, I imagine. I bet they weren't part of it. Mullioned windows. So stone stabling, this has got to be it, hasn't it? Oh, I do like a bit of detective work. And there's a nice old, what do you call it? Weatherboard clad. That's all very, that's the sort of thing, isn't it, in East Sussex? A lot of this weather cladding. Again, look at all these Georgian windows. Eight windows. Sorry, windows with the lights. And that, I bet that was a shop. I wonder if that was an old shop because of that. Bloody Google, eh? He's moaning. Look at that. I bet that was an old shop opposite this old pub. The Dorset Arms. I bet you're all waffling about something. Let's get back and see what you're all saying. Answers its purpose at the least expenditure and ask how much for them you can get away with. Oh, yes, that's very true. When did he write this book? 1898. Halftone. Thank you. Halftone. That was the... Yes, thank you, Turbo. That was what it was called. You had to do it as a halftone. There we go. Oh, I love this. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. Some things haven't changed. Quite right, Dave. Dudley Sawyer, where's William Morris when you need him? Nice church there. Yeah, brilliant. So there we go. That was the... right, so the church. Oh, the nice church. Yes, there's a church. Hang on a minute. There's a... let's... Is that going to give us... That's a titchy picture of the church. We're probably better off... Because he's just about to talk about the church. Oh, Google Maps. Google Maps. I won't. Oh, wait a minute. Will it get me? Let me get there. I can't leave the road. How annoying is that? Is there a tiny little... Where is the lane? further on. Wait a minute, where's it? To the church. It's up there, but Google won't let me drive up there, the swines. And I was looking here to see if I could find Witherham high resolution stock. Okay, that'll do. We'll have a bit of high res. Comes out very tiny. There we go. Save preview image. I don't want to save the preview image. Anyway, that's the church. That's the steeple. Open the doors. There's nobody there. The church at Withyham is interesting on account of its Dorset or Sackville chapel, hence the Dorset Arms. Oh, how interesting. Which contains several fine monuments to that family, one of these being by Flaxman. He is buried Charles, 6th Earl of Dorset, celebrated by Pope as Dorset, the grace of courts, the muse pride. I bet somebody's already said something. That's stunning. Yes, Andrew. Yes, but this epitaph is not now to be found in the chapel, if it ever were there, as is stated. A pleasant stroll. Oh, I'm glad he'd gone out the church and we haven't gone through all the epitaphs and stuff. A pleasant stroll of about a mile to the southward brought us to Buckhurst and the remains of the once stately home of that name, built by the Earl of Dorset, 1560, and acknowledged at the time to be one of the grandest mansions in England. Buckhurst. We'll never get anything done at this rate, will we? Buckhurst. Hang on, let's get out of here. Come on. Buckhurst. Buck. With a B. Hurst. Oh, Buckhurst Park Estate. We've got some noble people in this picture. From the Telegraph. It's, can I open it? View image. Look at that. That's a country pile and a half. Who are these people? Recognise them? Probably important people. But isn't that lovely? Ah. You're welcome to that other gaff. I've just moved into this new... Look at those chimneys. Look at those amazing chimneys. So high above the house. They do sort of ruin... the top of it a bit, don't they? If you could just mask out those chimneys, it would be quite interesting. But yeah, that is yeah, if you could, you can't shunt this picture around. I've got to go back now and see who they meet. The owner of the 2000 Buck Park estate. Me, rich, it's all relative, he says. You can, of course, get married. There we go, look at that. How lovely. Very, very nice. It's mum and dad, says Michael White. Bless them. All good fun. Sorry, lost the thing there. So that's interesting. So that's why the pub gets its name. So these old books, they are very useful in this way. Anyway, so there we go. He bought it. This edifice is shown in ancient prints as possessing 8 towers and a large banqueting hall, but of this princely abode nothing now remains but a solitary tower, one of the 8. What? We've just looked at it. Early in the 17th century, Buckhurst was deserted by the family for Knoll, owing to the extreme foul and bad ways, the roads around being little better than quagmires, and the stones of the magnificent mansion were carted away to build in other places, especially the Sackville College at East Grinstead. The badness of the roads was given as the ostensible cause of the desertion and pulling down of this lordly dwelling, but it appears as a curiously insufficient one, and rumour has it that the reason must be sought elsewhere. There is a suggestion of a mystery about the sudden desertion and demolition of such a grand place as Buckhurst was. This must be a different place, then. Has rumour found the key? Truly the roads were terribly bad in these parts in those days, but it is recorded that the roads around Knowle were in no better plight. Therefore, it seems that no real reason for abandonment of Buckhurst remains to be revealed, for it is unprofitable to speculate upon mere rumour and tales that vary with the teller. There are chapters of many old English family history that never will be written, so that plentiful scope is given for tradition. Well, we found it, even if he didn't. As to the badness of the Sussex roads, all old-time travellers who have left behind them any record of their wanderings thereon agree on this point, a matter that I have already briefly referred to. Leyland, in his itinerary, quotes a verse to the effect, "Sussex full of dirt and mire," and even as late as 1750 Dr. Burton in his diary remarks of the Sussex roads, "They are, to explain concisely what is most abominable, Sussexin." He further satirically suggests, "The reason why the oxen, the swine, the women, and all other animals are so long-legged here may be from the difficulty of pulling their feet out of so much mud, as thus the muscles get stretched and the bones lengthened." It was hardly gallant of the worthy doctor, I presume he was a worthy doctor, inserting women amongst the animals, and not even giving her first place. Evidently the doctor was angry when he wrote what he did. Possibly he was driving across the country, and he may have got stuck in the mud, and he may have dined badly at his inn before filling up his diary. However, nowadays the majority of the Sussex roads, especially the main ones, are excellent. Some of the byways truly are a little hoarse and loose and stony in dry weather and heavy going in wet, but one cannot expect perfection in this world. Many of the roads have got speed cameras on these days, and occasionally a speed mobile van will trap you. Oh, sorry, I made that bit up. As is one's wont. Are we coming anywhere near to the end of the chapter? Because we're coming close to the end of the there's a couple of pages hence, and it says the Dorset Arms was a noted hostelry in the old coaching days. Looking forward to that, but that's at the end of the chapter, which we will have to be in for tomorrow. Does it come to an end of a bit here? I just want to make sure we come to a good bit. Yes, we're just this last... Oh, no, that's 2 pages at once. Yes, there's a little bit here, and then we'll come to an end. And I'm sorry about my glasses being wonky on my face. Strangely enough, in these past days, it was the country nobility and squires that opposed any improvement in the Sussex thoroughfares. They dreaded lest good roads should give easy access to London rogues, and bring down infection upon them. I wonder what these enlightened gentlemen would think could they be brought to life again and behold the railway, the excellent highways, and not least the ubiquitous bicycle. And what would they make of those dreadful cycle lanes that they've put all round Worthing and other places in Sussex, which have been absolute disaster? Writing of the bicycle reminds me of changed times. Some of the small hostels by the wayside now rejoice in the sign of the Cyclist's Rest, or the Cyclist's Arms, whatever that might be. And I think that the legend of good accommodation for cyclists is quite as common today as the old familiar one in For Man and Beast was of old. In one inn-yard we even saw, painted on a stable door, "Stands for Cycles." Such notices would surely sorely puzzle our forefathers of the coaching days, could they revisit this world again. There is something striking, too, in the juxtaposition of the old and the new, when you see some of the bright modern steel steeds resting within one of these ancient yards amid old-fashioned and time-dimmed surroundings. The modern generation rides behind the iron horse on the rail and rides the iron horse on the road. Truly, tempora mutera et nos something in illis. A little bit of Latin there, or Greek, or Double Dutch, who knows what. Anyway, leaving Withyham, we passed a small sheet of silvery water overhung with trees, and then a short drive brought us to the very picturesque and pleasantly situated village of Hartfield, set in the midst of rich woody country, a country charmingly diversed by tree-crowned hill and shady vale. Hartfield possesses some dear old cottages and a quaint and ancient hostelry that would make a capital background for a picture. A hint I throw out should any artist be this way in search of a subject. And we will leave them in Hartfield. I believe it was Hartfield I bought my essay and in the fire shop there and was diddled because they sent me the wrong bloody thing. But never mind that. I won't hold that against them. We will pause there and back tomorrow, which is Thursday. I hope you've enjoyed that. Let's see what we've got in there. Turbo Stream says, Two-Tone Dave of yore. Yes, I used to listen to The Specialists, whatever that was. And Trev's Travel by Narrowboat says, the tall chimneys are to create a better draw on the fire. Oh, not a better draw on the fire, not a higher dispersal of the smoke. That's interesting. Thank you, Trev. And yes, I've often wondered why the men didn't have long legs too, says Lee Lawson, who is, of course, a very tall lady. And poor old Dick, her husband, is a small, squat chap. That's not true, by the way. Michael White says, at least you can say, get on your bike to a cyclist. That's true. And Linda Kane says, wonder if he sees Eeyore. Oh, yes. Is he heading towards Pooh Bridge? Anyway, there we go. Another jolly old reading. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming by today. Tomorrow, just to remind you, we will be Listen with Vobes tomorrow on the new YouTube channel. Hopefully it will be set up. If for any reason it doesn't appear or something goes wrong, come back here onto this channel. But hopefully it will be there and I'll have time to put these 6 episodes already on there. We'll see what happens. I have another video to make, of course. And tomorrow on the Bald Explorer, there is a video as I'm continuing westwards on my journey out of Worthing round the county of Sussex, and you can follow in that. It's a very tortoise pace at the moment, but it's been great. I've enjoyed this. I love these books and I love this reading. I think it's a great community, and thank you very much for coming on board with me. Look after yourselves this afternoon. There's a Vogue show this evening if you really can't cope. Something else to get involved with. But that's it for today here, and thank you very much. Until tomorrow, take care. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye from me. Bye-bye. Oh, that wasn't the button I was supposed to press. Did that look? That makes my jumper look blue. I didn't know I had a light blue one. Mary must have sent that in my sleep. How marvellous. How marvellous. Till tomorrow. Bye-bye.